Hello, everyone. This is Eric B., and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of Book Talk. And today, the focus of this is going to be the Rebellion of Karkus, a chapter from Realm of the Invader, the second episode of the Night Crusader series. Now, why have I chosen to dedicate this episode to this chapter of Realm of the Invader? Well, the answer to that question is simple. When Realm of the Invader and Sanctuary of the Darklight were simultaneously in the middle to late stages of development of the manuscripts, I realized something that had been an oversight for me for the majority of the development of these two manuscripts before they became published books. Um, if you notice, in Realm of the Invader, in the last few chapters, I want to say from chapter 25 forward. The reason I'm saying chapter 25 is because chapter 25 is the chapter that Cyrus and the four superhumans who would eventually become known as Night Crusaders return to Earth from the planet Plaxia. Now, um, now, for from chapter 25 to the end of the book, which was pretty much, that's when the war to end the alien invasion went on. Um, um, I realized that, you know, at the in the last chapters of Realm of the Invader, it was pretty obvious that my narrator was letting the reader know that for the most part, the humans and the aliens were getting along at this point because Cyrus was the leader of the band of the good Plaxians, aliens from the planet Plaxia, the Plaxians. He was leading them to end the alien invasion, and there were some humans. They were first called libertarians, but they eventually became known as fight for writers, who joined him. And because of this alliance, the chapter 25 forward of Realm of the Invader really seemed to paint the picture that the humans and the aliens were really getting along with each other, and they were. Well, at least the ones that were fighting along with Cyrus. But what we're missing here, what the last chapters of Realm of the Invader do not have, that the first chapters of Sanctuary of the Darklight does have, is the common folk perspective. And that's what I realized when I was reaching I would say I realized this around maybe 2016, 2017, maybe around that time. Because I started developing the manuscripts in 2011, so I want to say it was 2016 or 2017, around there, that I started to notice that it seems like in the last chapters of Realm of the Invader, it really gives the impression that the people were really like loving the aliens. So what happened in the early chapters of Sanctuary of the Darklight, where all of a sudden it seems like the humans didn't like the aliens anymore? It's like, what happened? What happened? Well, how did that end up changing? Well, the answer to that question is the need to answer that question is the reason why the Rebellion of Karkus was added to Realm of the Invader. It was meant to answer that very question for the reader. This is literally the last chapter that I added to Realm of the Invader, I'm pretty sure you're aware that movies and TV shows are usually not filmed in the order that you actually see them when you watch them. The same is true for writing books. And my chapters are never written in the order my chapters, my subplots, none of that is written in the order that you read it in the book. And this is not the last chapter of Realm of the Invader, but this is the last chapter that I added to this book. And I added it because it was necessary to bridge the gap between where this story ended and this story began. I needed to help it make sense to the readers why in the last several chapters of Realm of the Invader it seemed like the humans and the aliens were getting along famously, whereas in Sanctuary of the Dark Light all of a sudden it seemed like the humans didn't like the aliens too much. And I'm pretty sure a reader would wonder what happened. What happened? Did 2 years go by and just suddenly they had sour feelings? Well, no, that's not the answer to the question. The answer to that question is, in which the Rebellion of Karkus answers, what the Rebellion of Karkus pretty much says is, it was like the noble, the elite humans had good feelings toward the aliens, whereas the common folk, not so much. Not so much. At least those who did not know Commander Cyrus or Lord Darkitas, they probably didn't really trust the aliens too much. As a matter of fact, one of the things that Sanctuary of the Dark Light seems to point out is that most of the common folk humans, I don't think they really knew the difference between Lord Dragon and Lord Darkitas. And those were two completely different sovereigns, but to the common folk of the province of Dragon, they probably didn't know the difference between those two. So that is the reason why the Rebellion of Karkus was an absolutely necessary addition to Realm of the Invader. And I just want to make it clear that is the only reason this chapter was added to the book. This chapter was not in the book this chapter was not added into the manuscript until it was almost done. I realized I needed a bridge chapter, and this is that bridge chapter. So remember, next time you read Realm of the Invader, followed immediately by Sanctuary of the Dark Light, the next time you read the Alien Invasion era, immediately followed by the Great Unrest, don't forget the Rebellion of Karkus was the chapter that was meant to bridge the two stories together. It was the one that was supposed to help the two stories make sense, one leading into the other. Okay, well, thank you for joining me here today. Click the link below. Check out the website for Sanctuary of the Dark Light. The links to all of the other Night Crusader series episodes are available through that site, and all of the Night Crusader series episodes have a free chapter on the website that you can read before you decide whether to buy one of the Night Crusader series books. Thank you for joining me for Rebellion of Karkus, and we will be back, and join me again soon.